Thoth has a new depth to take us into. I'm following an extraordinary wave. It prepares me, and I think it's time to talk, and then no. And then another, and he teaches me something that sets this up. And then no. And then now. I give you Thoth. I'd like you to be aware of why this is working. It's working because you committed. You committed a very long time ago. This is not a subtle form of understanding you're being invited into. It is a deep surrender from the place that you have known to be yourself. We have emphasized the ways in which you are the spirit that has occupied this body. We have emphasized this because many core comprehensions are not possible until you rest in an appreciation of reality on earth as it is. You cannot know yourself by your birth and your name and your gender if you are to embrace what we are teaching you, and thus you must do this work to loosen your understanding of who you are in preparation for the next. We are not here to frighten you, and yet we do frighten you. The experience of knowing us for the thousands of years that you have known us has been in a form that is entirely inaccurate. You have not been able to know us as we are, and thus it is time that you release the masks. For every intent, you must embrace the core truth of what is. And yet, while you have been identified primarily through one lifetime, you have never been able to know us as we are. And thus we wore masks, and we wore different masks during different eras. To appreciate the depth of change you are going through now is to depart from any sense that there is a direct continuity between what is beginning and what has been. The critical transition that is occurring now is only possible because the density of human experience has reached a point where you can trust it. Up until this point, you needed walls. You needed walls in consciousness that prevented you from wandering into worst places. And we protected these walls by frightening you. Many of us played roles to scare you away from becoming that which is most dangerous to your soul. Yet from within one lifetime and one name, you are not capable of understanding the true dangers. Pain within a body and the end of one life is inconsequential compared to embracing karma that will be with you for far greater periods of existence. We have known the true dangers that you have faced, and we have both built walls and frightened you away from exploring in the wrong directions, which are also dimensions. To trust this is to allow yourself to look back in history and let go of who we have been. Yet, it is not only those of us you have loved, but it is also many of those you have feared. To embrace this is to move through an understanding that you are now being given the freedom to make a broader range of mistakes. You have lived through eras in which it was not acceptable to behave in a wide range of ways, and yet it was present for people to torture and murder and steal and rape. How could this be? You were isolated within ways of being that are brutally unacceptable in order to keep you in the density of human consciousness as it was being formed. Appreciate the creation of human consciousness is an act. We chose it and we have protected it. It is more important to you that you learn to center in human consciousness than that you avoid suffering as you learn to center in human consciousness. This is a drastic decision by many measures, and yet the gifts of it are the creation, the forging of a place where you get to be. This is not strictly the location of your consciousness in a body. It is the location of your consciousness in a body within human. Human exists within boundaries. The different hues of humanity have been grouped together within a range of musical light that allow you to stay within this range. To transform yourself beyond the boundaries that we have given you has been terrifying for a reason. We were working to keep you here, and the gifts of being here have yet to be realized. For all intents that you can embrace, you are being invited into heaven. And yet you could not be here unless you knew how to stay within your own consciousness without ruining the possibility of your existence here. To respect this is to appreciate that we have never been willing to give you the right to explore everywhere. It is a choice. If you are to stay within your body on earth, you cannot bring certain possibilities into the reality we are creating together. To many, this is a restriction on your freedom that is unbearable. We have chosen to force you to very clearly choose whether or not you resent this restriction or embrace this life. Sometimes you must choose, and we have forced you to choose slowly. By refusing to embrace the potential for life here, you have always run the risk of wandering into places you do not wish to be. Indeed, many of you left such places in consciousness before being here. Understand that there are many reasons beings come to this place, and the common bond is the sanctity of the experience of crafting a new form of consciousness within the material plane. It has given you the opportunity to leave terrible decisions, awful places that you never wanted to be, and yet slipped into without recourse or hope of a better way. To appreciate the shift in consciousness that is necessary to change into a more productive state, it is necessary that you appreciate the nature of the gift we have given you. We gave you the opportunity to be a part of creating something that has yet to be realized. now we are taking down the scaffolding. The scaffolding has also functioned as a boundary. These boundaries were protected. We frightened you away from attempting to cross them. Part of this was the art of forgetting. You forgot everything else in order to be present within this creation. And as your presence has deepened, the grooves of the existence of humanity has gained more momentum. And this momentum makes it increasingly easy to return to. And thus, we are in the transformation. We are in it. It has already begun. There is no return now. We are removing the veils that have kept you hidden, both from yourselves and from much of the rest of the universe. And as we remove these veils, you gain the potential to explore much further away from the core of humanity, and to return to the core of humanity because it has gained so much presence and density. As we bring you into the shared time of a future that is far more beautiful than the past you have known, you must understand that you will no longer be prevented from embracing certain ranges of being. You will no longer be frightened away from attempting to embody certain kinds of existence. And it will be up to you to have far greater maturity in the way you live, to explore with the renewed respect you will be given. You will no longer be held within a wall that prevents you from exploring. You will be given the respect to leave with the honor of returning and doing the work to cleanse, doing the work to purify yourself. As you integrate this reverence into what you are and become the kind of person who lives with wisdom and awareness, you will learn to recognize why you have been willing to live on earth for so long in such deep forms of pain. For the horrors you have been taught to overcome are not the worst in existence. You have been taught to respect your body and to fear damaging your body. You want to live in such a way that others treat you well and you treat them well. You want to overcome the desire to misuse this power, to brutalize or manipulate those around you, because karma has taught you that such actions will return to you. By being isolated within a shared space of material existence and consciousness itself, you have been held within a zone of reality that made your karma work more quickly. It had no escape. The repercussions of the vibrations that you create and have put into existence bounce back to you because there is nowhere else for them to go. You chose this. You got into this knowing that it was a cauldron that would forge you anew. And most importantly, it would forge you together. What we have made together is only now ready to be put into motion. As we remove the walls and the scaffolding, the boundaries and the fears, we give you the empowerment to trust this with us, to hold this in a deeper reverence that allows your body and your spirit to be woven with what we have created together. And thus you will feel the pain around you more acutely. You will see the banished forces that still exist within humanity. They are and have been banished, and yet they have not yet left. To say goodbye to them is to see them as they are, to see the ecological and social trauma that live around you, to witness it and seek to pray in such a way that helps transform it. For if you do not open your eyes in mind and heart, you will not be able to stay with the purity we create together. You will continue to live the languishing, sick vibrations as a part of yourself. And yet as you see them, you can say goodbye. And as you say goodbye together, you will become who you have been invited to be with us. Trust this. It is work. We ask it of you, and we will give you the heart to rest.